Battlefield sci-fi games have always interested me. Cool spaceships, hover tanks, laser rifles, robots, and aliens. But you know what will make this Battlefield better? A giant freaking mecha. Let's get to work on one, shall we? Welcome to Foxhole Painting and Gaming. My name is Alex, and today I will go over a small Gundam project me and several others are doing as a collaboration. The idea is to apply what we use for painting our miniatures and apply it to Gunpla. So friends and I have been wanting to put together a game using our Gunpla, and so I pulled an old Jesta high grade model out of a box, dusted it off, and got to work. The plan is simple, really. I want to build and paint this Jesta like it's some part of a skirmish on a forested part of a colony or Earth. The concept is easy, but there are some ideas I want to play around with. Stencils for a cool digital camo look, and some cool pen washing with some oils. I've never really used stencils, so I'm not sure what to expect, but I'm sure there will be a learning curve somewhere on this journey. I'll be using my airbrush to paint the camouflage, using greens, browns, and blacks to create a woodland look to this model. For the base, I'll make some fallen trees, rocky ground to simulate a woodland environment that this Jesta is currently fighting in. Using AK Interactive's Olive Drab as a primer, I base coat the model with another primer from Vallejo to act as a primer and base coat. For this, I used NATO Green Vallejo Surface Primer to get the job done. This will be my second attempt at painting Gunpla. The first attempt was a Wing Zero, and needless to say, that didn't turn out too well. I quickly learned that using particular oil washes will disintegrate the plastics that these models are made from, and Wing Zero's his head collapsed in my fingers. It wasn't a good sight. With the parts primed, we now need to airbrush the rest of the camo. I use a light green to highlight the panels all over the model before using digital stencils from Def Ray Designs. I block out the spots I want to be green and then spray the model with a brown and the highlight for the brown. This is followed by blocking out more areas and spraying black in its highlight. Once it was all dry, it was time for the stencils to come off. However, something I didn't expect had happened. The paint peeled off. The paint peeled off in areas. Luckily, this was a test piece before I did the rest of the Gunpla. But yeah, I did not expect the stencils to not just rip off the green paint, but to rip off the primer. My second attempt at this will be to use a satin varnish over the entire green surface, and hopefully this stencil will not stick completely to the paint and will pull off a lot easier. I figured there would be a learning curve to this project, and I think next time if I do another Gunpla model, I will be sanding the plastic for a better grip with the primer. Using masking tape and AK masking putty, I block out the areas that had taken the most damage and gave them another coat of green and highlight. This could simulate the damaged panels of the Jesta being replaced with fresher parts. And then the smaller areas that were too small to care about, I just ignored, as you would never know from a distance. I only did this because it was meant to be a Wargaming and not a display piece. No point of picking out several small spots for hours when no one will ever see them. Once this was all done, I pin washed the armor panels with Tomoyo's panel wash, and hopefully it won't eat the plastic. It was successful, and once it was dried, I simply just used a sponge dampened with some thinner and cleaned up any of the overspill on the Jesta and then gave it a fine misting of matte varnish. With it drying, I figured it was time to visit the base. Using some resin tree bits and sand texture, I started the base, and once it was done, it was time to paint, flock, and seal the base. Using browns and ivory, I coated the base and did some random blotches to show variations in the soil. Once done, it was time to move to the flocking. The key was to make sure I had a clear spot for the Jesta to sit on the base. I used it a few times to get an idea where a flock should be on the base without causing the feet to not sit flat. Using Gaming Scenics glue and Scrubland base ready, I had a base ready to roll. All that was left was thinning down some varnish to seal it all in place. Now, the base was done. With the base drying, I switched back to the Jesta and gave the model a light dry brush of dark sand to bring out the hard edges and to bring it all together. Afterwards, all that was left was to paint the visor, the lights, and then boom, this Jesta was done. This project was interesting, and I learned about Gunpla a lot more than I previously had known. In particular, don't use certain oil washes and make sure to sand those smooth surfaces. I'm still looking forward to seeing how this bad boy looks on the field, and I'm pretty sure you are as well. But before we do, I want to say I love this collaboration effort, and I want to shout them out and show you all what these fine individuals came up with. The links to the videos will be in the pinned comment below, so give them a view, a like, and a sub to help this community prosper. Until next time, happy wargaming.